Welcome back to The World Over. My first guest is the no-nonsense governor of the state of New Jersey. He's seeking the Republican nomination for president and recently received an important endorsement from New Hampshire's union leader. To discuss some issues, the state of the race, we're joined on set by Governor Christie. Governor,
happy to be back, Raymond.
Great to see you. I want to start with this shooting in San Bernardino. It is gobbling the headlines. This is the 355th mass shooting we've had in the country. This particular assailant, this Syed Farouk, he apparently has been radicalized, was in Saudi Arabia for a period. They're saying, Ted Cruz, your opponent, said, America's at war. Do you think that's the case?
Sure. Listen, I've said that this is our world war. And, you know, the Pope has said it too.
Yeah,
Third World War. Pope has said this is the Third World War and it's being done a little bit at a time. And we need to be prepared for this. It's going to be a different kind of challenge. It's going to be a long-term challenge for our country. But we need a commander-in-chief who's going to be strong and resolute and clear.
I want to play our current commander-in-chief for you. He's claiming that this could be workplace-related, Governor Christie. Listen to this.
We don't know why they did it. We don't know at this point the extent of their plans. We do not know their motivations. It is possible that this was terrorist-related, but we don't know. It's also possible that this was workplace-related.
Do you share the president's thought that this could be workplace-related?
I think it's a remote possibility, if any possibility at all, Raymond. From the time I started watching this last night, an hour or two, and as a former federal prosecutor, if it's a workplace problem, you don't go home, pick up your wife, put on the tactical gear, get the semi-automatic weapons, and come and shoot the place up. Yeah. This looks like a planned attack. And here's the really dangerous thing. If the developmentally disabled center in San Bernardino, California is a terrorist target, that means any place in America is now a target.
Now, the president's solution is we need more gun control. Now, California has one of the most strident gun control laws in the country, and San Bernardino as well. Is that the answer here?
No, it's not the answer. The answer is intelligence, Raymond. The answer is that this president has weakened our country, along with some Republicans, by taking away the NSA's ability to collect metadata.
Just this week.
Just this
outlawed.
Week, right? And made us weaker, and has killed the morale of the intelligence community as well by essentially accusing them of having committed crimes during the Bush administration, when in fact those intelligence officers were working with the full authority of the Department of Justice. This is wrong, and it's making us more vulnerable and weak, and the president has helped to cause it.
What, if you were commander-in-chief, what would you be doing now? Given your experience in the wake of 9/11, you prosecuted many of those terrorists, what would you be doing differently?
First thing is that we've got to restore our intelligence capability. That's our first line of defense here, to defend the homeland, which has got to be the president's first job. Defend our homes, our safety, our security here in America. Intelligence and law enforcement need to be strengthened. And we need a president who's going to support law enforcement, not accuse them of wrongdoing every time a situation comes up. Next, we need to strengthen our military. Our military needs to be strengthened. We're at World War 1940 levels on our Army. We're at World War I levels for our Navy. This is outrageous, and the rest of the world knows it, and that's why they're taking advantage of us. So that's what we need to do.
I need to talk about refugees for a moment. We've been hearing a lot about the Syrian refugees, people making humanity's cry here, saying, look, these people have nowhere to go. A seven-member family just moved into New Jersey. You're opposed to accepting refugees, even orphans. Why? That seems heartless.
No, it's not. And here's why. Because the director of the FBI has gone on Capitol Hill and said, we cannot vet these folks. And now the president wants to increase the flow tenfold, and he wants to do it in half the time he's done it already. It's not possible to do. It puts American safety and security at risk. Here's what we should do, Raymond. We should create a safe zone in Syria for these folks, with NATO and Arab troops, and with a no-fly zone. That will help to keep them in Syria and keep them safe. I am not heartless to the humanity and the absolute cost, but we cannot put American lives at risk.
Governor Tom Keene, your predecessor, 9/11 investigative commissioner, he said that your policy is helping ISIS, that this will only help foment more of these attacks. You'd say what?
I say he's wrong. With all due respect to Governor Keene, who is a friend, he's wrong. The fact is the American president's first priority is the protection of the American people. And until the FBI director looks me in the eye and tells me he can vet these folks and assure our safety, I'm not doing it.
I want to talk about climate change for a moment. The president has been in Paris hammering out this agreement. Capitol Hill is not too fond of this deal. If you were president and these Paris talks are underway, what would President Christie do? Would you sign on to something like this, or would you try to get the major powers to step away and say, let's take a closer look at the science here?
I wouldn't sign on to this because it's wrong. There is no crisis going on right now, and we don't need to tie America with one hand behind its back. What we need to do, the president hasn't focused on the right type of climate change. The climate we need to change is right here in America. We have the people who are distrustful of their government because it doesn't work and it rigs the game against them. We have worse racial tensions now than we've had in the last 7 years of this presidency. The climate at home needs to be changed. You should be worried more about that and less about what's going on overseas.
Yet the president says, Governor Christie, this is a #1 national security issue. The Pope says it's now or never for the environment. We must sign a pact. You don't think it has any relevance? It shouldn't be signed at all.
No, I don't think this pact should be signed, and I don't think that we should be imposing something on America that much of the rest of the world won't follow.
Do you believe it's man-made, the climate change we're seeing?
I believe that the climate changes because it changes all the time, and I believe that human activity contributes to it. Of course it does. But does that mean that we have a crisis that we then have to tax our way out of, which is what the Obama plan is? No, I don't believe that.
I want to play something for you. This is Donald Trump, who's leading the pack right now, your competitor for the GOP nomination. He said this about you last night in Manassas. Roll that.
Governor Christie wants to raise the age so that you have to wait another, pretty extended period of time. It's not fair. You've been paying in for years.
He says these people have been paying in, Governor Christie, and you're trying to change the rules on Social Security.
Yeah, well, what we want to do is make sure they get their Social Security check. And you can't wave a magic wand and have that happen by itself. Our plan is really specific. We would raise the retirement age 2 years, and we would phase it in over 25 years. So it's a 1-month increase per year for 25 years. It would affect no one that's currently on Social Security or anyone who's near Social Security age at this time.
Do you think it was risky rolling that out so early because it allows your competitors to say, oh, he's going to destroy your Social Security? I heard this over the Christmas break. Somebody said, I like Governor Christie, but the Social Security thing, I don't think people have read your plan.
Well, they haven't, and I don't think it's risky. I think it's leadership. We can continue to ignore this problem, and then it will eat us alive. 71% of all federal spending today, Raymond, is on entitlements and debt service. In 1960, when John Kennedy was elected president, it was 26%. We are spending all of America's money on things in the rearview mirror and nothing on America's future. That's going to make us a weaker nation for our children and grandchildren. I don't think any Social Security recipient wants a weaker America for their grandchild. And they want to make sure for those who really need it, the difference between heat and rent and food, those people get it. But we also say for folks who are making over $200,000 a year in retirement income, you don't need a Social Security check.
I want to talk about this race, which is getting more unpredictable by the minute, and I see you smiling. You identified with Laura Ingraham the other day your 3 main competitors in this race, and you identified them as Bush, Kasich, and Rubio. Why those 3 candidates and not Donald Trump?
Listen, she just said, who do I see as my main competition? And I believe, given our background and our experience, that those are the folks that I'm competing with the most heavily. And I'll wind up competing with everybody, Raymond, by the time it's over. And then they'll all wind up supporting me because I'm going to be the nominee.
I want to talk to you about the union leader endorsement in New Hampshire. This is a major endorsement, and we've seen your numbers now. The latest PPP poll, you are up from 9th place to 4th place in only a span of a few days. What's happening in New Hampshire? I know you've spent a lot of time there. Do you have a residence there yet?
Not yet, but I feel like the Radisson in Manchester might be my residence. I've just spent my 50th day in New Hampshire. It's more than any other candidate by far. In fact, here's an interesting statistic. Mary Pat, my wife, has spent more days in New Hampshire than any other candidate but me.
Oh my gosh.
Herself. And so we're up there, we're working really hard. And I think what you're seeing in the polls is 2 things. Hard work is paying off, and people are hearing my message. And I think the combination of those 2 is giving us some momentum in New Hampshire.
What's the path here? You win New Hampshire, and then you go on to fight it out in these other states. Do you have a national campaign ready to attack on all fronts when Super Tuesday rolls around?
Raymond, if the biggest thing I have to worry about on the evening of February 9th is that I've won the New Hampshire primary and I've got to compete in the rest of the country, we're already, by Christmas, we'll be on the ballot in 27 states. We'll get to all 50, but by Christmas, we're already on the ballot in 27, which is going to be competitive with or better than most candidates. We're ready to run a national campaign. We're ready to be the nominee and to beat Hillary Clinton next November.
Okay, 2 quick questions before I let you go.
Yep.
What has been the most disappointing thing about this campaign for you?
You know, it's that people who had supported you in the past don't necessarily support you now, and it's always disappointing to see people you considered friends being with another candidate, but you learn that that's the way it goes and you get over it, but it's disappointing.
What about running out on the hustings and talking to these people? I watch you at C-SPAN, on C-SPAN at 9 o'clock at night, and you're at a diner in New Hampshire. It's freezing cold, and there you are holding forth for hours. This has got to be grueling. I mean, there's a reason that Donald Trump is, playing on the links at Mar-a-Lago while you're in New Hampshire. But you're in the trenches.
It's relentless, but that's what it should be, because the presidency is relentless, and you need to be ready for that. I'm ready to be president of the United States, and this campaign will only make me more ready. And so I enjoy it, though. I will tell you that I get energy from interacting with people. Instead of getting more tired, I don't get tired till I get back to the hotel.
Yeah.
Then I flop on the bed and go to sleep. But when I'm out there, I get energy from people because they're so concerned for our country and its future, and they are desperate for strong leadership. And when they identify with me and say, we're going to vote for you, and that gives you a lift of adrenaline and energy that is unlike anything else.
How has your faith sustained you through this? This has been rough. I mean, there's a piece in the New York Times today. Every day you're being hit at home and nationally.
Yeah, well,
this can't be easy on you and your family.
You know what? Our family has a great attitude about it, and a lot of it is grounded in our faith, because we're a strong Catholic family that believes that this is a mission for us. That I have something to offer to the country, and that God has given me the tools to make this run. And we know that there's no guarantee about how it will end, but what we know is that the mission itself is a noble cause and is something that we're called to do. And so as a family, it's just made us stronger and closer, to tell you the truth.
Governor Chris Christie, we will be watching that
Thanks,
mission
Raymond.
unfold. Thank you for being here, and we'll be following you in the days ahead.